This is Matt Crane on another episode of The Lantern. I have with me Brad McNamara, the CEO and co-founder of Morrissey Market, and we're going to talk about what he's building today, connecting the physical and the digital world between healthcare, perishable food, and then some, what he's learned building startups, and how we in the Boston community can help him. So let's get into it. Brad, welcome.
Thank you. Happy to be here.
First question, tell us about Morrissey Market. What are you building?
So Morrissey Market is a digital perishable fulfillment platform. What does that mean? When it comes to food and healthcare, we bring the food. That's what we always say. We're connecting healthcare with food logistics and distribution so that the clinicians don't have to worry about the ops, the backend, structuring, cost, traceability.
Yeah.
They can just say, what's the best intervention for this patient that'll make them healthy?
Amazing. And as we enter 2025, sitting here in December, we are at one of your distribution centers today filming this. What are some of the things you're excited about, like status of the business and what you're looking forward to as we enter next year?
So status of the business, what I'm excited about, we'll be launching our national network in Q1. So we just signed a few more distribution partners on the West Coast so that we can take on more of those national deals. Because as we know, healthcare is huge and it's everywhere. But the need doesn't fit into a really nice concentric circle of growth. And so with the national network, we'll be able to take advantage of that. And I think one of the things that's most exciting for us for 2025 is we've been able to partner up on the food benefits side of things with MassHealth in the state of Massachusetts, which is an example for another 23 states in the union that have the same programming. So we'll be able to really scale our impact, empower our partners, and get food as an intervention to everybody who needs it.
That's awesome. Next, this is not your first rodeo. In fact, you've been building startups for quite some time. What are some of those learnings that you're taking into Morrissey Market, but also just that you would pass back to members of the community that are thinking about building startups as founders, operators, anyone sort of in and around them?
There's a lot within that question.
Too long for this section.
Absolutely too long within this section. I mean, I think what I always go back to in this question is trying to think back to 10, 15 year ago Brad. What I realize now, which I wish I had internalized then, is no matter what journey you go on, what business you choose, it's a people business. Luckily now you can build companies with much smaller teams for longer, which is fantastic, but it's still those people. It's down to the dynamics there. And I think the other thing that I've just gotten much better about is just being more forthright with my team members. In terms of what do I want? What do they want? What works, what doesn't. And I would say kind of pressing for those hard conversations earlier and often so that they're not a weird thing. They're just like, oh, this is us talking. That's probably the biggest takeaway. It's hard. It was hard for me to internalize when I was young, dumb, ambitious, that I've got a long life ahead of me doing these things. But it's true. I mean, some of the best partners, customers, investors, co-founders have come from just maintaining a long-term view on relationships.
Definitely. I always like to say it's people that build technology businesses. It doesn't just create itself. Last but not least, how can we help you in Morrissey Market in the community? What are some of the things that you all need help with entering 2025?
As we close out 2024, we've got our milestones hit for 24, which is fantastic. We're really excited about that. So we're going to be heads down on growth and onboarding new partners and new programs for the next probably 30 to 45 days into the new year. But after that, I mean, really what I'm looking for is two things. One, I'm looking for digital health platforms that have solved the hard front end of bringing doctors, patients, and dietitians together and really need a partner on the back end to handle the digital and physical world meeting so they can scale their impact. Two is I will be looking to connect with potential lead investors in Q1. We're not raising capital, but we sort of turn that corner as an entity that we realize, okay, this is a venture scalable business that requires and demands and can actually ingest capital with an outcome that makes sense for us. And there's an element of, again, lessons learned over a long career. My relationship with my lead investors persists to this day, 10, 15, 20 years later. And when you get that right, it's beautiful. When you get it wrong,
it's a separate segment.
It's a completely different interview. But so really it's connecting with digital health platforms who, really need a back end to scale on because healthcare is enormous and the problem is huge. And investors who do like to lead at that edge of the physical and the digital world in rapid growth emerging markets in healthcare.
Perfect. Brad from Morrissey Market, Matt from MGMT Boston on another episode of Lantern. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me.